Hello there, my name is Pavlo Shtermo and now we'll unveil the top news of recent days. On December 5, 1994, Ukraine signed the Budapest Memorandum on security guarantees and nuclear disarmament with the United States, Great Britain and Russia. 29 years ago, Ukraine confirmed its rejection of the third largest nuclear arsenal in the world, by the time relying on international security guarantees. By the Budapest Memorandum, the signatory states undertook to respect the sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity of Ukraine, as well as to refrain from the threat of force or the use of force and economic pressure. The security model based on the Budapest Memorandum has not justified itself. Russia grossly violated its obligations, attacked Ukraine, and even threatens it with nuclear weapons obtained from Kyiv. Although our Western partners stated that they are fulfilling their part of the memorandum, but obviously the Budapest Memorandum, as an instrument of Ukraine's security and sovereignty, does not work. Because we have a war, everyday shelling, killing and deportation of Ukrainians. And I am not only talking about the last 2 years, but about a war that continues almost a decade since the annexation of Crimea. And there are no signs that it will end soon. As ex-Minister of Foreign Affairs Volodymyr Ohrysko stated, the fact that non-implementation of the Budapest Memorandum undermines the principles of common European security, as well as the main principle of international law. Agreements must be fulfilled. So in the conditions of the existential threat of the Russian Federation, Ukraine can no longer rely on empty promises and chooses a strategic course to join NATO.
Had an important meeting with NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg in Brussels. I'm grateful to Mr. Stoltenberg for his leadership and coordination of the alliance work to ensure long-term support for Ukraine. We discussed the situation on the battlefield and the urgent needs of Ukraine during the winter period. The Ministry of Defense is working to ensure the defense forces' interoperability with NATO. Ukraine's membership in NATO is inevitable. Our country chose that path a long time ago. We are working on practical steps to bring our country closer to NATO membership. Rustem Umerov, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, on social network X, formerly Twitter.
As an intermediate state, Ukraine is counting on the collective security guarantees defined at the NATO summit in Vilnius. In order to develop this initiative, Kyiv has stated consultations with the European Union. According to mass media today, the ambassadors of the EU countries will start discussing the opening negotiations with Ukraine as part of the preparations for the summit on December 14th and 15th in Brussels. Success in reforming and adapting Ukraine to European standards have been recognized by the European Commission, which recommended the European Council to open negotiations on our country's accession to the EU. So we expect that such negotiations will begin already during the December EU summit. For Ukraine, accelerating the pace of European integration will provide moral support against the background of military burdens, especially during the difficult winter campaign. We understand that there are countries in the European community that doubt whether it is worth supporting Ukrainians. But we rely on the ability of the EU to achieve unity, which has already been repeatedly demonstrated. The recent report acknowledging Ukraine's remarkable progress serves as a pivotal milestone in opening the path towards EU accession talks. This decision is not merely a recognition of Ukraine's unwavering dedication to European values, but also a strategic imperative for the EU's own security and prosperity. Despite the immense challenges, Ukraine has diligently adhered to the European Commission's 7 recommendations, achieving a remarkable completion rate. This unwavering commitment to reform underscores Ukraine's readiness to embrace the EU's standards and values. Ukraine accelerated its efforts during recent weeks, adopting in the first reading relevant legislation boosting institutional capacity of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau and upgrading competences of the Corruption Prevention Agency. Legislative changes on national minorities have been presented by the government to be adopted by Ukraine's parliament. Ukraine has fulfilled its obligations, and now it is time for the European Council to act decisively. The EU must stand united in its support for Ukraine's accession bid, not only as a testament to Ukraine's remarkable progress, but also as a symbol of European solidarity in the face of aggression.
We do not think that it's unfounded. Au contraire, I think that Ukraine has done impressive work in speed and in content, and this has been highlighted by the President in numerous occasions. And obviously now it will be for member states to take decisions on the basis of our enlargement package.
Welcoming Ukraine into the EU will not only reinforce the bloc's political and economic strengths, but also will enhance its security posture. Ukraine's potential will contribute to European Green Deal. Trans-European networks and cybersecurity, food security are undeniable. Moreover, Ukraine's membership will serve as a beacon of hope for other aspiring democracies, demonstrating that EU means a steadfast champion of democratic values. Ukraine's accession to the EU will be a catalyst for further transformation. Brazilian President Lula da Silva invited Vladimir Putin to the G20 summit and at the same time warned that he would be arrested on the basis of the ICC warrant. Silva backed away from his previous words when he promised that Brazil would not arrest the president of the Russian Federation. For the sake of the Kremlin dictator, Brazil will not violate the Rome Statute. Fearing criminal prosecution, the Russian dictator does not appear at many important events such as the BRICS summit in South Africa or the G20 in India. In August, South Africa hosted the BRICS summit, but Putin did not attend it because the South African authorities have an obligation to the ICC to arrest him on their territory. Of course, the Russian dictator can use modern technologies and make his speech via the internet. But will someone listen to him? Because even Putin's allies cannot guarantee him personal integrity on their territory. CSTO member Armenia ratified the Rome Statute already after the appearance of the warrant for Putin's arrest. The verdict of the International Criminal Court closed Putin's door to most countries of the world. Putin's crimes have made him an exile and a toxic figure. However, he faces even more punishment according to the verdicts of international courts. That concludes our today's video. Thank you for watching and stay updated. Subscribe to our UATV English channel for more news from Ukraine. Your support really matters. Goodbye.